Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the This Is Me podcast. I'm Karen.
And I'm Ellie, and today we have Jackie joining us. Jackie has worked in the meat industry for 33 years, where she's worked her way up to being a senior leader, and she's on the board for Meat Business Women. So, Jackie, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day today to come and have a chat with us.
No problem.
Why don't you, to kick us off, tell us a bit about yourself and how you got to where you are today?
Okay, I think probably like most people, I didn't intend to get to where I am today. Growing up, I always wanted to be a vet. So, yeah. So for my school friends, if they knew what I did now, they'd probably be quite surprised working in the meat.
That's a bit funny, Jackie, but apparently vets have the highest suicide rate out of all the professions. So you've probably gone on a curve, sort of dodged a curveball. Is that the expression?
Absolutely,
dodged a bullet.
Yeah, and I don't think it is now as it was then either. So, So always loved animals, had every pet you can possibly imagine, and loved learning. I've always loved learning my whole life. That's, finding out new things is brilliant. So cruised through my O-levels and thought I would do the same with my A-levels. But I had 2 horses at the time, and they were far more interesting than revising for my A-levels, so I didn't. And so I didn't do quite as well as I thought I might have done, and ended up going to Leeds University, where I studied agricultural animal science, which I loved being a student.
I went to Leeds University as well.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I went to university at the same time as Keir Starmer, but I never came across him.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we had any famous people there when I was there, but Jay Rayner. Actually, I think Jay Rayner was there at the time.
Oh, really?
Pretty
interesting. Yeah.
Anyway, loved being a student. Didn't want to go and get a job. Didn't particularly want to be poor for another 3 years, although I did have an interview and was offered a PhD at Cambridge.
Wow.
I know, but ended up...
To do what, Jackie?
It was looking at sort of animal health and things like that. So it was quite interesting. It was going to be sponsored by the Wellcome Foundation, and then they withdrew the funding. So, and I actually thought, 3 years, it's a long time. So I ended up doing a master's, and my housemate had sent off for all these different prospectuses, and she had one for meat science, which was down at the Meat Research Institute at Bristol and was co-located with a vet school. Okay. And it had a section about animal welfare in it. And I thought, that sounds really interesting. So I applied, and they offered me a place. So I went there. I didn't know. There was no plan whatsoever.
Yeah.
Just ended up going there. And I had a great time. I loved it. The people down there were brilliant. Really enjoyed the studying and everything. But then, of course, what do you do with a master's in meat science? So I applied to lots of meat businesses. And I had a few interviews, didn't really get anything because I didn't really know what I wanted to do.
I was going to say, it must have been really hard to see what that translated to an actual job. Because that's the difficulty, isn't it? What job would you do from that? It must have been really hard to think about that. Yeah.
Because I suppose ultimately, really, I wanted to work with animals. So
not dead ones.
Not really. So, so in the meantime, my parents, because I grew up in Watford, my parents had moved to Denby Dale, and obviously my course had come to an end, didn't have a job, so I ended up going back and living with them, which once you've been a student for 4 years is quite difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then I was offered a 6-month placement at Port Farms on Queen's Drive as a QA in the butchery department. So I thought, well, it's experience, haven't got any, I'll take that. 2 weeks before I was due to move to Nottingham to share a house with 4 other girls that I'd never met before, my boyfriend and I split up. I was absolutely devastated. And then the weekend that I moved to Nottingham, I found out I was pregnant. So I was even more devastated.
Oh my God, Jackie, you're
So
going through the mail?
oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm
That
moving
is a
to,
lot for a young mind to
Yeah.
cope with. You know, like new place, new job, like new awful boyfriend. Like,
23 years old. What the hell, to be polite.
wow.
So
What
anyway,
did you do once you've got over that?
I moved.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I went down there. I told my parents, who were surprised but very supportive. I told them at work. They were lovely. But obviously I only had a 6 month contract. They said, oh, whilst you're here, if you want to go for other interviews, you can. We'll support you with that. So that was wonderful. I told my boyfriend, he was great, and we actually ended up getting back together,
Oh, it was like a
which
story tale from.
which was lovely. And had we not, I wouldn't have my daughter as well now. So I've got two wonderful children. But ultimately, it didn't work out in the long term. But,
Yeah.
so I did my 6 months down at Pork Farms, learnt lots. And the butchers were just so wonderful. They really looked after me down there. They were really lovely. And I actually had an interview with a company called, well, it was Grampian, part of
Yeah.
Grampian at the time. They're called Yorkshire Country Pork. And I had an interview for a management trainee position, which I thought would be perfect because then I'd get exposure to all parts of the business. So I had an interview and it went really well. And at the end they said, you know, is there anything else that you'd like to tell us? And I said, well, yeah, I do think it's probably fair of me to tell you that I'm 3 months pregnant at the moment. So I got a lovely letter saying, in your current condition, we couldn't possibly employ you. But please let us know after you had your baby if you're still interested in working for us, so we'll get away with it.
Did you get that actually in writing?
Yeah, I should have kept it. I didn't, but I should have.
Wow, you should have kept it.
So,
Do you know, that is so interesting, isn't it? I was going to ask you, like, what's that word? What the prospective employers' views were about a pregnant person, but clearly you've just said exactly right. They actually wrote you a letter in black and white saying your current condition.
I know. It's mad, isn't it? So can you imagine if somebody tried to do that now? If they just,
you just get a more subtly written. Thank you very much. You weren't the right candidate, weren't you? It's more what's the word? Covert
but probably
now,
nowadays you probably wouldn't get you just probably wouldn't get a response anyway, because I don't think many people do get responses, do you?
Actually, yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah.
So so I had my son George, and then when I couldn't stand being stuck at home with a baby any longer, because I'm not very maternal, love my children to death, but I never set out to be a parent. I contacted the company, and actually, whilst I'd been off, Cranswick had bought the business. So I was invited in for an interview by the MD at the time, went in, absolutely fantastic, and they set me on as a QA. So that was in October 92.
Where did you have to work though, Jackie? Where were you living, sorry, at the time? Did you have to move?
No, so I was living in Driffield. So my boyfriend had moved up there. So I moved in with him had to have George. So, so the business is in Preston, which is just outside of Hull. So it was about a half hour, 40-minute drive, really. So I started there as a QA, and I was absolutely clueless. I'm not ashamed.
How old was George? Was George how old?
He was 9 months old when I started.
So you were a full-time working mom in this QA in Preston, which I have been to in past lives with you.
Absolutely. You wouldn't recognise it now. It's completely different.
Is it?
Yeah. Oh, gosh, yeah. So at the time, there's probably only about 100 people on the site. There's about 1,500 now. So
wow.
It's massive. Yeah. So I started there, and I have to say, probably if it wasn't for a chap called Steve, who was the other QA at the time, I probably wouldn't have stuck it out. Right. Because there were hardly any other females on the site, and going in as a young female was really tricky.
Yeah.
I used to walk into the butchery hall, and they'd all bang their knives on the tabletops and catcall at me and shout all sorts of things. And I just wanted to run out. I hated it. And he used to hold onto my arm and just say, "Stick it out, girl. They'll get bored.
Yeah.
You can do this." And obviously I did, and they got fed up in the end. I did get one of them particularly told off when he shouted something at me that I was upset about. In the end, I guess they gave up. But we're talking.
Isn't that interesting that you have to? I was going to say, like, we've often, Ellie and I talk about this, about my experiences and Leslie's experiences, about how in your face the behaviour was. Like, it was like, like
there was nothing. There's nothing covert about it. Is there? Like, and like it's the most open of like.
Well, to put it bluntly,
unfathomable now.
Get your tits out.
Oh my God!
So I was like absolutely mortified. It was awful. I ran out and cried.
Yeah, I remember.
Do you know what? I'm not surprised. I mean, because that's horrific, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's your place of work. You're like, everyone's supposed to be. It just. I mean, I know it still happens now, but it's far more covert. That doesn't mean to say that it's not as bad. But the fact that was just like, a thought has come into his mind and he's gone, I'm going to say this out loud in front of everyone. And like never had a second thought about whether there'll be any repercussions for it is.
Well, there was repercussions. He got a right dressing down and had to apologise to me.
I remember when I was a management on the graduate programme at Asda, and I was working in the stores, and you had to do the rotations. And I remember spending the 2 weeks in the butchery department was like a real test of your mental toughness, because everything that came out their mouths was to test you. Like, like to wind you up about the meat, the sausages and all that stuff. And it's really interesting to think about that day, because it was sink or swim, wasn't it? Do like you had to find a way to do it. And it was so, when you look back, it's just outrageous.
Well, I've been tested a number of times. I had because obviously I was young, and some of these guys have been doing the job for ages, and I was telling them what to do. The first thing I had to do was to get them all to wear hairnets, and they hated me.
Oh, I'm sort of not surprised. Who set you up for that?
Well, we were going for retail approval. So,
right, yeah.
I can remember once. You might have to edit this bit out.
That's not a problem. I will do that.
The factory manager came to get me, and he said, "Come with me, lass." And he was huge, a great big tall chap. And he took me into the butcher's toilets, and I was like, "Oh, I can't go in there." He said, "It's all right. There's somebody in. Come in." And there was graffiti everywhere, and he made me go into this one stall, and on the back of the door in big letters it said, "Jackie is a effing little shitbag." And I was like, oh my God. And I came out, and he clapped me on the shoulder, and he said, "Well done, lass, you're doing a grand job." And he thought that was like a badge of honor.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh my God. So
that's crazy.
It's not. So I have to say, it's nothing like that now. Absolutely.
No, you would hope not. So how did you endure that? Or were you just sort of head down, eyes down, get through it?
I guess you have to just suck it up and get on with your job. You just have to do the best you can in your job, don't you? And prove to the guys that, I was never going to be a butcher. I could never bone out a leg of pork or anything like that. But, I was up for having a go at things, and I didn't shy away from stuff. And if you're honest and true to your values, I think that comes out, And for me, honesty is really, really important. And, I would explain why I was doing things, why I was asking them to do things. And I guess that that just comes across, doesn't it? And the fact that I just stuck it out and had a go.
I was going to say, I think probably when they realised that you weren't leaving, they probably did get bored because it's not worked, whatever it was that they were trying to achieve. Yeah, they probably did just get bored, yeah.
So you're in Preston, sorting the hairnets out.
Yeah.
So what happened then? Because you've really done some amazing things in your role. So you're at Cranswick, you're at Preston. What happened in your career next then?
So basically, I guess I've always said yes to anything that's offered to me. You know, I'll have a go. And
it's so interesting, isn't it, Ellie? Sorry to interrupt, Jackie, but that's a theme that's coming out of
I was
the podcast.
just thinking exactly the same thing. There's a real theme of I just said yes to loads of people's stories. Yeah.
Not really overthinking it, just sort of saying, all right then.
Yeah. And being open to trying new things as well. So back in the day, health and safety wasn't really a thing. And technical, because we were setting all the rules for what should be done within the factory, then I was asked if I would take on health and safety. So I said, well, I will, but I don't know anything about it, so you'll need to send me to college. And so I did. I went off and did an EBOSH diploma in the evenings, and they paid for that, and that was great. So, you know, I knew something about it and could tell people what they ought to be doing, really, or not to be doing.
Yeah.
So that was one thing. And then we bought another site, and they said, you know, we're looking to start retail packing for retailers. Would you be interested in that? Yes, of course. We're going to start doing our Taste of Different sausages. Would you be interested in that? Absolutely. So I guess it's just, you know, every time they said, oh, what about this? I just said, yes, that'd be interesting. I'll take that on. So my role has effectively grown as the business has grown. So I've gone from, I went from QA to technical manager. 3 months after I started, they got rid of the technical manager and gave me his job. So I was like, okay, then I'll do that. Then I became a divisional technical manager and then a controller. And then back in 2018, when the group technical director retired, I stepped up and became the technical director as well, which was always actually my ambition. I didn't realise it, but as the business grew and I realised that he would be retiring, I was thinking, oh, I hope I get the job.
Got my name on it.
But then as soon as I did, I was like, oh my God, what now? You know, there's nobody to ask. What do I do? I'm the one that will have to take the decisions and the responsibility. So that was very, very daunting. It was, you know, what we did in Karen down at Cressbrook, the whole...
Yeah, Jackie and I worked together.
Not sure. Yeah, and it was absolutely that curve that we described then. So
I remember you having those conversations, knowing was come up. And I think it was like, this is leading to a question. Okay. I remember you having hesitations about it. And although I didn't know you very well, I hadn't expected you to have hesitations. Because, you know, like in your other role and saying yes and all that, what was the hesitation about stepping into that role? Because it wasn't something I'd seen in you before. What was it about that, do you think? Was it because I don't think I'm good enough, or was it
absolutely? I think everybody suffers from imposter syndrome, don't they, at some point in their life, and you know, probably quite regularly actually. So Andrew was a very different character to me. My predecessor is the technical director. He's very calm and considered, and you know, just people went to him for reassurance. And you look at somebody like that and you think, oh my goodness, how am I going to fill those shoes? You know, I'm much more emotional, as you know, Karen. If my mouth hasn't told you what I'm thinking, my face probably has already. So I was just thinking, oh, you know, goodness, can I do it?
Yeah.
So yeah, it is that whole, you think you can, but you're not really sure. And until you're doing it, you don't really know, do you?
Yeah.
I
It's
was
amazing.
I was gonna ask, like, was there a time where you were like, oh, I do know what I'm doing? Like, like, did it take you long to, I guess, sort of like build that trust in yourself?
Um, I think, yeah, probably it probably didn't take that long. It was probably a couple of months or so, and I think it's when you start going to like industry-wide meetings, and the first one you go in, you look around the room and you think, oh my goodness, all these other technical directors, they're so knowledgeable. There's me sitting here, and certainly for the first few, I hardly said anything because you feel like you're not worthy and you feel like, oh my goodness, I'm going to say something and make a fool of myself. One of my biggest fears is embarrassing myself. And, um, and then you kind of build up a bit of courage and you say something, then everybody around the table agrees with you. And, or somebody says something and you think, I was thinking, no, I wish I'd said it first. And then you pluck up the courage to say it first, and everyone else is agreeing, and then when people start looking to you for answers, or a question gets asked of the room, and people sort of look to you, and you think,
Yeah. And you think, now, why? Hang on a second. Why are they looking at me?
yeah, they value my opinion.
Yeah.
But I've always said to my team, if you go to an event or a meeting or something like that, it's because people have invited you, because they want you to be there, because they value what you've got to say. So don't be afraid of saying what you think. At the end of the day, it's your opinion anyway, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
But
I think it's a really interesting thing about the invite. I think you've hit on something really, really insightful for people, which is if you've been invited, they value something about you being there, whether it's because of the company you're from or because of your connections or because of your knowledge. And it's a really good tip for people, which is, I really like that, which is whatever, work out why they've invited you and then use that for your platform. It's really, really good tip, Jackie, because there's some reason you're there.
absolutely,
Yeah, no, that's really good, really useful. Oh, another insight of the day, Ellie.
right,
Right.
my work here is
Yeah.
done.
Thanks,
Thank you
Jackie.
very
Yeah.
I feel a book coming on.
So yeah, so I've basically, my role's grown with the company, and I've really enjoyed it. My team are amazing. I couldn't do what I've done without my team. My right hand woman, who has actually now stepped up to be technical director, Nicola, she's incredible.
Oh, is
We
Nicola
were,
the technical director? That's
yeah.
amazing. I know Nicola as well. Oh, that's really brilliant.
Yeah, it's amazing. So we'll sit down and I'll say, oh, I think we should do this. And then she just makes it happen. So it's been fantastic. We've worked together for 15 years. And
Wow.
yeah, I couldn't have done what I've done without her. She's been incredible. So, but that's not to say that the rest of the team aren't amazing as well.
Yeah.
A lot of them have been there with us for a long time. We've all worked together and we all have the same values. We want things to be done right and properly. And yeah, it's been an absolute joy. So yeah, I've loved it. I've loved it. And they've been such a great, supportive company to work for. So I had a conversation back last year about looking at retiring. I'd always said I'd go at 60, if not before, if I could. And obviously Nicola was ready to step up. So I've stepped back. She's now technical director and I'm working 4 days a week. So I have Fridays off and love it. And now obviously with a brand new grandson, I'm hoping to spend time with family
Yeah.
and do lots of traveling. So yeah, it's been
Yeah,
wicked.
go for it.
Can I ask you about that? About how, like, basically thoughts on retirement, and basically three times in one sentence. Sorry, um, because I think it's one of those things that everyone's like, oh, and then we'll retire, but it must when you are starting to think about it and you're coming up to you've dropped to die and whatever, you have been in this job alone or in this part of your life alone for 33 years. It must be, actually, when it comes down to this might happen soon, quite that's a massive adjustment, isn't it? Have you have you struggled with it, or have you thought, no, thank God, get me out the door? Like,
I haven't struggled with it. It's going to be hugely emotional when I leave because I've worked
yeah,
with these people for such a long time and I've enjoyed it. So it's
yeah,
not going to be like, I hate my job, I can't wait to
Yeah.
leave, anything like that.
yeah,
But I have got lots of outside interests. Like I said right at the beginning, I really love learning, so I'm hoping to do another degree. So that will certainly, when it's grim weather outside, I can sit and study, so that'll be great.
yeah.
I read books all the time. I love reading. I've now got 3 grandchildren, so hopefully can spend time with them. We love travelling. I've got a list as long as my arm of places that I want to go.
Whenever I see Jackie's a traveller like me, Ellie, and whenever
Yeah.
I see Jackie's stuff on Facebook, I think, ooh, put that on the list.
Yeah. Oh, that looks nice.
Yeah.
I
I
actually
have
think it's
to,
a great question, though. I'm going to just ask another one because
yeah,
I
sure.
think retirement in today's day and age is a strange word because retirement used to be very clinical, didn't it? Like you're in a job and you're retired, whereas now we're much more fluid and flexible with actually so I don't really work in a proper job. In a proper job, that sounds terrible.
A bit harsh.
And people say to me like all the time, "When are you retiring?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm going because I'm going to ask you about the Meet Businesswoman in a minute."
Yes.
I
Oh,
say,
good.
"Well, I don't really work anymore because the stuff I do like this is my passion." And I think
Yeah.
it's a great question, Ellie, because retirement is built up to be this thing, whereas actually it's more about a transition for you, Jackie, about what you're going to fill your time with. Because
Yeah.
there's no way you're going to be sat in an armchair watching Countdown. So
No.
I think it's a really great question. So when you think about all of those things that you're going to do you still think, because we'll talk about business in a minute, do you still think you'll keep some of what your work passion is in your life? Do you know, like
Yeah.
maybe you'll be on a committee or maybe you'll do a non-exec or do you know, like that sort of stuff? Does
So
that make sense? Sorry, what a
yeah,
ramble that was.
absolutely. I definitely want to keep doing Meet Business Women because I love it and I
Yeah,
feel so passionate about it. So we've been doing that for 10 years now.
yeah, I thought
Um,
that.
yeah, but the other stuff I want a complete break from to
Yeah,
Yeah.
start with. But who knows?
yeah.
If people want me to do something for them,
Well, some
I
great stuff. Like
wait and
you
see.
could like mentor people or like I think so. What I'm trying to very very badly say is the world of retirement is so different nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah,
That actually I think it's an opportunity sometimes rather than a threat or a worry. But I don't know.
definitely. Yeah,
So tell
yeah,
us about the Meet Businesswoman then, because I think it's amazing, and like we all work in the same arena doing different things. But tell us about the Meet Businesswoman, how it came about, how you got involved, and what you love
yeah.
about it.
And again, that's something else that I hadn't intended to be part of or thought about. But there was the very first conference was down in London, and they had the captain of the women's rugby team at the time speaking. And it used to be perfectly honest, really hack me off that the chaps in the business would go away and they'd go to football matches, rugby, golfing, shooting, you name it. And as females, we never did anything.
Mm.
So this conference was advertised. I don't know. I'd stumbled across it somehow, and I thought, I'd quite enjoy going to that. So I went down. Didn't know anybody, but we were sat round tables, and the icebreaker was, "How did you get into the industry?" And most people were like, "By accident."
Yeah.
And then I was talking in the break at the lunchtime to a lady called Pam Brooke, who I had no
Oh, I
idea
know Pam. Yeah.
was the editor of Meat Manufacture magazine, worked for Graham Yandell. And I was talking to her, and I said, if I have to go to another Meat Awards and listen to another member of the 1966 World Cup team, I think I'll hang myself. Which she thought was quite amusing, but I didn't realise she was Pam. And I think she probably thought, this lady needs to come and join Meet Businesswomen. So I was approached by Pam and Laura and asked if I'd like to, be part of the organisation. So of course I jumped at the chance.
Yeah.
And And yeah, we've grown and grown and gone from strength to strength. And our aim is to basically encourage ladies into the meat industry, make it more attractive to them, allow them to network with other like-minded females in the industry, and grow their careers. So, and part of what we do is, as you were saying, Karen, mentoring, and
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
I think
You must have seen
so yeah, go on.
such a huge change in even just the amount of women in your industry over your career. It must be, I bet if you went back and said to yourself when you started, don't worry, 33 years' time, this is going to look a lot different, you probably wouldn't have believed it.
I wouldn't. No, I definitely wouldn't. I can remember I went down to, it was one of the Butcher's Hall dinners. And it wasn't in Butcher's Hall because it was being refurbished at the time. So it was in one of the other halls. And I looked around the room, and there was probably, I don't know, 150 men in there and a handful of women. And they were all, suited, grey-haired, drinking lots of red wine. And I just looked round and thought, oh my goodness, we just need to have more women in this industry. So yeah, and actually now you go to a function at Butcher's Hall, and there is a lot more ladies there now, which is just so lovely to see. And why should there be? Because we bring so much more to the table, don't we?
Yeah. 100%. So meat business women must be doing their job somehow, some way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have an annual conference in May. And every time we're just like, oh my goodness, we need to find somewhere bigger. This has been amazing. How do we get it better next year? And it's wonderful. I love it.
What do you think is the key to the success of that? Because, excuse me, lots of women's networks, communities, whatever we want to call them, or whatever they're branded, sort of fail to make that cut through. And that isn't a criticism. That's a fact. What is it that you think is at the core of why the meat businesswoman over its 10-year journey has had success? Because I think that's really interesting for people to understand. This has not been an overnight.
Yeah.
I was going to say success, but I mean success in its truest form. You've had to work every day, every month to do it. So what do you think has been the common glue, the purpose, that's whatever that's made it still be here, still be growing?
I think the networking side of it is really, really important, and that opportunity we've realised that we do sort of speed networking now as part of the event. So we get people to move about. We make sure that they're sat with people they don't know, so they have to talk to and make new connections. And whilst that's really uncomfortable, saying hello to somebody you don't know or what have you, actually everybody's in the same position. So, it's quite good. We had a facilitator once that said that she got everybody to say, are you a dog or a cat person? As an introductory question. Yeah. It's amazing. Just from that one question, how the conversation starts and flows and all the rest of it. So I think the networking is really important. We do monthly masterclasses, so we get people on to talk about confidence boosting, imposter syndromes, all that sort of thing, plus industry specific pieces, and then obviously there's a mentoring side as well. So we have the portal where you can sign up and say, this is me, this is what I'm looking for as a mentee, and the mentor can say, this is me, this is what I can offer, and then people get linked up that way. So I think it's all of those things really. The in-person part is really important.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And we've had some amazing speakers as well. So really inspirational people.
So how does it, when you talk about it, I don't know what you see, Ellie, you can see Jackie's energy coming out. How does it fuel you? Why is it your passion? Do you that's all lovely, the things that you do, but what about you, Jackie, as the person who's still there, still helping it?
I think it's because, Karen, as you'll know, so obviously I started 33 years ago, and I just think, gosh, if I'd had a mentor back then, how much more confident I would have been, how much easier it would have been to overcome some of the challenges that I had, just to have somebody to talk to that's not in the business, in confidence.
Yeah.
And I didn't have that. Work we did at Crestbrook was the first personal development that I had. So I'd been with the company for 22 years, something like that, 20 years. And everything I'd done previously was just off my own back.
Yeah.
And I just think, I know that there are ladies that I've mentored through Meet Business Women who have said that I have absolutely changed them, their career, and that makes me so proud and so happy.
So it should do.
Yeah.
I mean, you're very, I think you have humility at the centre of you as well. And I think what I really admire about you, and I think this is what we have to build with all women, is you really want the best. I'm not saying it's just for women, but particularly for women. At the heart of you, you really want the best for that person. And I think that's a special kind of strength. And it's also a special characteristic to not be egotistical about it. And I think if you, like, we have an ambition to, like, donate 10 million hours of support to women.
Wow.
But even if we only ever do what you've done, or we only do one, to have somebody say that, that's such a legacy, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's awesome. Yeah, it is pretty awesome, really.
Yeah. And I do think, I have had people that over the years have supported me and made a big impact on me. There was a lady that I used to work with. She was our QA manager, Enid, and I used to call her my work mum. And, so I'd go to her when I was struggling or what have you. Yeah. So I guess she was my mentor, but not officially.
Yeah.
And I think everybody needs somebody like that. And I think if you can be that for somebody, it's just lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is lovely. Yeah.
So I'm hoping to continue to do Meet Business Women if they'll keep me on.
I don't think they'll let you go. It's more the challenge.
Exactly.
So
what do you want the sort of next 6 months to look like for you then?
So I'm handing over now as we speak to Nicola, which has been a bit weird, I have to say, because there's things going on that they go to Nick now instead of come to me, and that's a bit like, they don't need me
It's
anymore.
really awful, isn't it? They don't need me anymore. Jackie who?
Yeah, exactly. Did you know this had happened? No, I didn't know about that. but actually it's quite liberating, so and then I'm concentrating on a few other projects as well, so that's nice, and it's just so lovely to be able to see Nick just cracking on and doing stuff as well, so that's really good. So I've got 6 months. Well, I've got until April, which is probably a bit less than 6 months now, and then I go down to 3 days, which will be and then finish.
A really good way to sort of like ease yourself into it, because I think people that like just go, okay, I'm in work on a Monday to Friday and then next Monday that's it over. That must be so difficult to just go, what am I doing?
I don't think I could do that. And to be fair, I'm really, really privileged to be able to do this. Most people don't get this opportunity. So to be able.
I think it's a great question, because my husband, I never thought he'd give up work, and over COVID, he just said to me, I don't like this anymore. I want to give up. And I was like, he's good, and he just did that, didn't he? He stopped, he resigned, he wasn't retiring. And I thought, this is going to be a nightmare. And we could talk about some of the nightmares, not on this podcast. But he really surprised me. But I thought it would be like, I thought this is never going to work.
Mm-hmm.
I guess maybe for some people a clean break does, but I don't know. It's an interesting thing, isn't it?
I just think it must be it must be quite jarring to go from your whole adult life, your whole working life, and then just one day you just don't go to work on a Monday morning anymore. That must really throw people off.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about why it might have been easier for him, Ellie. It's because it was COVID.
Yeah, so you weren't doing what you were doing anyway, yeah. But I think, yeah, you are right. What a position to be in that
Really lucky.
you can wind it down and you can, you can do it how you want to do it. That's great.
To be fair, I've never liked getting up early in the morning, and my team will tell you,
Yeah.
if I've had to get up before 6, don't talk to me until after
Yeah.
9 at least, and I've had 2 cups of tea. So not having to, wake up to an early alarm clock every morning will be wonderful. I do like my bed, so that
Me
will
too.
be nice. And then we're going to get another dog eventually. So yeah, it'll be up and out with the dog and doing all that sort of thing. So yeah.
How have you kept throughout those years? Right back at the beginning of the podcast, you talked about you wanted to work with animals, you wanted to be near animals. How have you kept that love going?
So we've had a dog. We had a dog for 14 years. We've got a
Wow.
cat who's 16 now. So I've still always had animals. I didn't ride for a long time because I couldn't. I had a hip replacement and then I could ride again. So that was nice, although I haven't ridden for a few years, but I'd like to get back into riding again. So, I've got loads of things I want to do.
All I keep seeing in my head is Jackie said she was going to do another degree. I wonder if it's going to be veterinary science.
No, it won't be veterinary science. I'm quite interested in ecology and the environment, so I might
Nice.
do something like that actually. I haven't decided yet, but
you'll be the where do you like? I'm not saying it's the Yorkshire vet, but the equivalent of there'll be Jackie popping up on our screens in a couple of years.
Yeah, we'll have to do a follow-up episode of what did Jackie do?
it might just be really boring.
And knowing Jackie, she won't just be a vet.
So, yeah.
She'll be a surgeon. She'll be a vet surgeon. She'll be the top of the class.
Equine specialist.
Yeah, definitely.
I couldn't stop. I just had to do it. My time was there. So before we finished, you look back on your career. It's amazing. I didn't know that you'd been that was the start of your career. What has been your biggest highlights, specifically about being a woman in a male-dominated industry? What are you so proud of, specifically because you are a woman in that industry?
Well, I have to say one of my highlights of being in the industry and working at Cranswick obviously was meeting my husband. I couldn't pass without that. We both worked at Preston, so that was lovely.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
You didn't have to tell him to put a hairnet on, did you?
No, I'd got past that. That was already mandatory. But I think seeing my team develop is probably one of the best things for me. Seeing Nick step up to be technical director, it's just wonderful. And then being part of Meet Business Women and seeing the impacts that we can have on young ladies coming through the industry. And if our experience, those oldies of us that have been through it all can help them transition more easily, then I think that's absolutely wonderful. I feel like we've broken the mold, and it is now much more acceptable for females to come into the meat industry. Back in the day, there wasn't very many of us.
No, it is. I mean, I think that's really impressive. Do you know what I mean? To have been the people that stuck around so that there is more people now. And that's not to say that those that didn't stick around ought to be ashamed of themselves, because I know we were laughing about what was said and the environment that you were in. That's not funny. That's not to have to go through that, on a day-to-day basis. Takes an awful lot of...
tough. It was tough.
Yeah, it takes an awful lot of resilience. And I think, how amazing is it that you can see what's happened now because you stuck around. That must be amazing. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, the opportunity now is huge. There's so many different different functions you can go into in the meat industry. That's part of what we're trying to do, to educate youngsters. The meat industry isn't about standing on a line putting bits of meat in a pack. There's technical, there's marketing, there's MPD, there's finance, there's HR. There's so many opportunities.
Yeah.
And there's ladies that have gone all the way to the top. CEO and downwards. So absolutely, I think it's an amazing industry to work in. I've loved it. I've absolutely loved it.
That's
you
amazing.
Can tell, can't you?
Yeah, it's really nice. It's really nice when
nice.
someone has, because we say this a lot as well. I wouldn't say it's an overarching theme, but it is really nice when people are like, "No, I really love my job. Like, I've really been fortunate to be in a job that I love." And I think honestly, it's mostly what people make of it. I don't think it's the role or whatever, and the environment that people are in. But it's really refreshing when people are like, no, I've really loved my career.
I think you know what as well, it's really interesting thinking about what you said, Jackie. There's so much emphasis put on find what you love, find your passion, find all these things. But actually sometimes life doesn't give you that choice.
Well,
no, it doesn't.
You wanted to be, so I think there's something in a bit
I think it very rarely does give you that choice, does it?
I think it's like a really good paradigm shift, or however you say it, sort of hopefully for people who are listening to say, like you don't always search for the elusive gold at the end of the rainbow, because if you get in there and you try and you say yes and you take the opportunities, you'll create your own.
Well, I must admit, I'm a very firm believer in things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
So, I got pregnant. I didn't mean to. I've got an amazing son. I didn't mean to go into the meat industry, but I've loved it. I wouldn't have met my current husband if I hadn't.
Yeah.
I'm a southerner, but I live up north. I never thought I would end up in.
You don't even sound southern anymore.
I know. I have been here for a long time. But I would never. If you took me back to 17-year-old Jackie down in Watford, I'm as far away from where I thought I would be as possible. I imagine.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really happy. So
I think that's an amazing way to sort of finish the podcast, isn't it? That everybody, we do a lot of work about expectations and what the career path is and what you should do at what time and all that stuff. But actually, happiness is the elusive. Happiness is if you leave this earth having been happy. I think we are very privileged in today's day and age, and I think you're right. Like we have these, what did you want to be when you were 17? I wanted to be a physiotherapist. My younger daughter has pinched my dream. So, but
at least you can live vicariously.
I just think, I'm glad I didn't do it. But actually, I look back and I think, what life's put in front of me is never what I would have chosen. But it's another really good insight about don't put pressure on yourself.
Definitely
just make the most of everything that you get.
Roll with it and say yes
to
all the opportunities that you're offered.
Yeah. No, that's been brilliant.
Yeah,
we have one final question for you, Jackie. If you had to pick a song to be the theme song for your life, what song would it be?
So this is really easy for me because...
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Because I'm a huge U2 fan and have been since the first album.
Yeah, I went to see them in Earl's Court many years ago.
Yeah, I've been to see them a few times and loved it. So it had to be U2. It had to be from the Joshua Tree album because that's my favourite. And it is I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For. Now, that would sound quite negative, but in actual fact, I think it's just, keep being curious, keep learning, and keep
I love that
looking.
song.
So, yeah, absolutely. That would be my tune.
That's brilliant.
Listening to that, that's an amazing one.
Yeah. No, that's amazing, and thank you. This has been brilliant, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come and share your story with us.
And for everybody listening to put up with the chaos that ensued before we actually started recording.
Oh yeah, because Jackie came into a baptism of fire this morning, and she handled it
thank you very much for not turning and fleeing. The ineptitude of the podcast host.
It's been a pleasure, ladies.
Thank you so much.
Thanks very much.
It's been amazing.
And thank you to everyone for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.